Aloha! We had a chance to catch up with Damien Packer of Damien Packer Performance recently. Now Damien teaches strength and conditioning out at Kamehameha, Hawaii. He's also the head track and field coach there. But back in the day, he was an all BAAF athlete out of Keaau in football and track and field. In fact, he was our very first client back when we were called Sports Viz. We produced recruiting videos and we did one for him. He turned his skills and used that video to get a preferred walk-on opportunity at UH, went on to have a nice 4-year career at UH, playing mostly DB. 1 year he switched back to wide receiver when they needed a hand at that position, but had a nice career and made us all proud. In fact, a number of youth athletes from the Big Island were on hand when he graduated, had his last senior game, so it was fun to be there. But we had a chance to catch up with him and talk to him about his strength and agility program that he's been running out at Keaau, and what he recommends young athletes do in terms of preparing for a college sports opportunity. So here it is, our conversation with Damien Packer.
History of this particular business is concerned. This is Damien Packer. If you don't know who Damien is, he was actually the very first paying client that we had in terms of our recruiting program back in, 2012, probably, something like that, 11,
yeah,
12?
I graduated in 2012.
Yeah, and so Damien played at Keaau back in the day when Keaau was, it's coming back in the day when Keaau was one of the teams that it was determining who was going to be the BAAF champion every year, so that was exciting times back then. And much like we still have the problem today, I mean, multiple BAAFs, receiver, DB. Weren't you a state champion in track as well?
Runner-up.
Runner-up, okay, I mean,
close.
but,
We got second.
yeah, second, I mean, so bottom line is BAAF, champ in track for sure, and nevertheless, we still had problems, getting visibility. It was still a problem, even though we had good tape, the measurables were good, it was still a bit of a process. And, he worked his way through it, and ultimately, while he got some offers at JCs, the D3s, things of that nature, he took the challenge to walk on at UH. I believe as though you were a preferred walk-on, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so just basically took the challenge, went there, just worked your tail off on scout team, and basically, made a position for himself and was flexible. Yet 1 year he actually, went in as a DB, but they needed help at receiver, and so, again, team player, took a year and played receiver because the team needed it, went back to DB, finished out that way, and, the wins and losses weren't there, but, hey, not too many people can say they've got an interception at Michigan's home field, and Damien can say that. So we're real proud of him, but I think probably the thing we're most proud about is what he's done after, right? So that's the goal with helping these kids get these college opportunities isn't necessarily that sports opportunity is the end all. It's what that sports opportunity does for you, right? It's how that sets you up for the future. It's how that group of teammates that you play with at college becomes friends and lifelong people that you can count on to bounce ideas off of, and who knows what kind of business opportunities come out. So that's the most important thing, and much like we always like to see it, what Damien has done is, bring it back here to the Big Island, and that's the ultimate goal. Importantly, as far as we're concerned, it's the Damien Packer Performance Program that, we really want to highlight. So why don't you give us a little thought process on how you came about, putting the program together and what your goals are for the program?
For sure. During my time at UH, I was blessed to have a lot of great mentors. Kenny Patton with Patton Sports Performance was one of my biggest mentors, who does speed and agility training over on Oahu for all athletes, and Darren Yap at Tactical Strength and Conditioning. I had the privilege of training under them, and then eventually working with Kenny and working for him. So I got to really experience sports kind of on a different level. When I grew up on the Big Island, we didn't really have opportunities in terms of development,
right.
In terms of learning how to run, learning how to move laterally, learning how to utilize strength and conditioning to maximize athletic potential. And so I got to learn those things under those guys, and I knew that when I came back home, I knew it was going to be a big part of whatever I decided to do. I got into teaching through Teach for America. Started off at Keaau. I'm at Kamehameha Schools now, teaching strength and conditioning. That's really how the dream was created. When I moved back, I know that us Big Island athletes, we have a natural grit. that a lot of people don't have. And that's probably one of the biggest takeaways that I have from playing at the Division I level, playing at the University of Hawaii, is that I know that kids from the Big Island have a natural heart and grit to them that not a lot of people have from other places. And so I really wanted to maximize other kids' opportunities to play at that level so they can go and get opportunities like I have today. I'm super blessed to be in this position. And like you mentioned earlier, football is just an avenue to get here. So really with my business, the goal is just to maximize athletic potential, teach kids how to not only train the right way, but just live the right way. I have a huge focus on doing things the right way, how they show up to training, how they go about training in between breaks. I have a huge focus on that, and then also really just maximizing their athletic potential, teaching them the proper mechanics, teaching them how to train, and then getting a recruitable product. Right. So a lot of times, right, in today's age, sports specificity, there's a lot of different things that are pulling at kids. And it really comes down to the basics, right? So just really reinforcing the basics, getting them a solid foundation. That way, when they go to their coaches, they can build on that.
Yeah. I want to touch on one thing you said and expand on another. Talked about the grit of the Hawaii player. And I think that's absolutely true. And what I found, is there are, particularly in the D3 level on the West Coast, there's a number of schools that, PLU has a Hawaii recruiting coordinator. That's how important it is. And like I said, I covered that PLU Pacific game, and I think there was a total of 74 Hawaii boys on those two teams. So, certainly this is recognized, but I think that the thing that we lack here, which you spoke about and are trying to solve, is that we don't have the training opportunities that exist on the mainland, right? The opportunities on the mainland, right and left, are every weekend. It's very diverse, but they don't exist here, for the kids as much. And I really, you and some other guys, 808 Bigs and, Gabe over on the west side, I know Manasse's into it as well. That's what we need, is the guys that have that, have the background, have the skill, deserve, have earned the respect, speaking it to the kids and helping, because you just don't know, you're here on the Big Island, you're the best, you're the best player on the Big Island at your sport. How does that translate? Because of the work that I've done, and because of how you got involved and what you see in the future, that basically any of those kids that were working with you today, if they want it, and if they're willing to do whatever it takes, they'll find a college opportunity. It might be not, it might not be on the sunny shores of California. They might be in South Dakota or whatever the case may be. But there's an opportunity out for most kids here if they do the work.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And I think that's the major point that I try to make too, is that it's just an opportunity to pursue the education. I'm also a teacher, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm a firm believer that education is the key to elevating our people, elevating our place. And so using athletics as a legitimate pathway to get our kids opportunities to pursue their education is really what it's all about. And yeah, doing it the right way, setting the foundation has a big part of that. Right, and so just getting them the opportunity to go and experience another place, get educated, and then ultimately they'll have a lot more opportunities at the end of the day.
Talk a little bit about that, about chasing that college sports is college sports, right?
Yeah, exactly. And any opportunity is an opportunity, right? So being realistic with yourself and where you're at. And with that being said, I don't believe in you can do anything you set your mind to. I believe in you can do anything that you work towards.
Yeah.
Right. So if your goal is to play Division I athletics, you have to be D1 across the board. Your academics have to be on point. Yeah. The way you conduct yourself in the community has to be on point, and only you know whether that's real or not. Right. And not saying that there's anything wrong with a Division III, a junior college. Right. Again, an opportunity is an opportunity. But just being realistic with kind of where you're at and the work you put in. Right. And nowadays, there's a lot of people that are claiming they're working hard on social media, but at the end of the day, right, what to shoot for. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. Going to a smaller school and getting an opportunity to pursue your education.
Yeah. And you're right. The bottom line is don't sell yourself short, but be realistic. Yeah. If you're 5'9", 220, there are guys like Sam Mills. There's examples of guys that have, broke the mold, if you will. And if you're that type of player, then great. But be realistic. Like I said, especially academics. I'm 100% with you on that. Even just meeting the requirements of the NCAA clearinghouse is not enough. You should shoot for above that. The 2.6 is okay. I'm qualified, but the D3s, they like to see a 3.0, 3.2. It gives them a lot more flexibility in finding money for you as well. So, I mean, ultimately, you're a student athlete first. And we can talk about, skills all we want, but if you can't get accepted, I mean, we've run into that. I've had guys that have taken that football as the best player in the state for, from cover 2 here. And when it comes time to get him into college program, we just can't because the grades just don't match up. I mean, you might have to do a couple years of, but again, I don't want to put a damper on that because, I've had guys that didn't meet the grade, that took the time, and took a year or two after school, got those grades together, still went back and took advantage. So there's that can happen as well. But the easiest route is to, set the goals early and stay on top of that. Work with your parents as a team. And, if the parent and the athlete are working together as a team and they're working with someone like you to, build skills up, and someone like me who kind of knows the nuances of the recruiting game, then, things can be very, very positive. And there's a lot of different guys. There's a lot of guys like you that are back there on the island that went off and had that experience, that are coaching at the schools, or, even just coming back and being a great member of society, a business person, raising a family, having kids. I mean, that's the goal, is just to build the island up by helping our students become better human beings, basically, right?
Definitely, yeah. And I think, too, just being aware of how the game has changed, right? With the transfer portal, the opportunities are a lot less, right? There's you cannot leave any stone unturned, right? So yes, while it is a valid option to do the if you don't make the grades, do the junior college option, it's not safe to put your eggs in that basket because the opportunities are so much less. So you gotta really make sure you're on it in terms of academics, you're on it in terms of work ethic. If you gotta go to a practice, and give 100% effort at a Pop Warner practice, you got to be realistic with yourself, right? Like it's not going to work, right? You got to be starting at a super young age, not doing anything crazy, but you got to have a sense of urgency right behind what you want to do. Otherwise, the opportunities aren't going to be there. Yeah.
Well, I think, and one of the things I like to speak about, because I think I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is I think we're past it a little bit, but sports as a whole tends to you're an athlete, that's fine, but the high school classes are the most important. And I think the reality is, sports as a whole is probably $1 trillion industry if we look at it. So to say that being good at sports and pursuing excellence in athletics is a waste of time beyond maybe getting a college scholarship, I don't believe that. I mean, you have turned sport into a profession. I mean, you're a professional athlete. You're teaching strength and conditioning. You're a coach. So I think this kid is a great athlete. He how can we build around that? Okay, you could be a communications major and focus on sports communication. I could be a sports, there's sports management programs. So I think that looking at sports as a career option, you're not going to be only 1% or whatever become that professional football player. There's a lot of professional football coaches, there's professional football trainers, there's people that work in the offices and so on and so forth, there's agents, so I think that people kind of poo-poo that sports a little bit, just because, it's just a recreation, or, but hey, no, let's start supporting it as, a profession that can be accessed in a lot of different ways, not just being that end-all athlete.
Yeah, definitely. And then engaging in the process properly too is, I think, the biggest gain or benefit to athletics, right? Just speaking on the data, right? Not everybody can be a collegiate athlete, not everybody can be a professional athlete, but if you can engage in the process correctly, you can learn how to work hard, you can learn how to be on time, you can learn how to be respectful. All those kind of things are applicable across the board, right? And those are things that money cannot buy, and that sport can teach you, right? The vulnerability that athletics gives naturally, right? And going about it the right way, it's priceless. How beneficial it can be to a kid's development into an adult. So yeah, I mean the benefits are endless, right? Both financially and characteristic wise. But yeah, it's I think one of the best ways to develop a person.
Yeah. Well, this has gone a little longer, but a little deeper, and I enjoyed it. So I got to wrap it up a little bit. But kind of what I want you to finish on, I mentioned it a little bit, but I want you to really expound on it, because I think this is one of the most important aspects of finding a college sports opportunity. And it came to light when we went to that PLU game. Coach Serge is over in Utah. He's got some kids over there playing high school ball in transition, dealing with the whole COVID thing. And so we put 10 of them, and they're all from the Big Island. They're all Hilo Coincide boys, and we brought them down to PLU, and so we did the whole campus tour. We had a nursing student, a female nursing student was the person that took us on the campus tour, and she brought up a point that I hadn't thought about at all. She goes, hey, you guys got something going for you, because if you come to campus, you're going to have 80 teammates to fall back on, right? That have been, many of them have been here for 2 or 3 years and done, so you've got this whole support system. I came here all by myself. I don't know anybody, and so I'm doing this whole thing solo. So that's one of the, so speak on that a little bit, and speak on, how many relationships you developed within that team that are just going to be lifelong relationships that are, who knows how they're going to benefit in the future.
Yeah, definitely. For starting off with the brotherhood that I created at the University of Hawaii, the friendships that I was able to make there are still relevant to this day. Also the connections I was able to make to people like Keaau, right? Just off of my playing history at the University of Hawaii, I was able to come back to the Big Island and work under him for a little bit as a mentor. And that is all just tools in the bag, right? So just being able to connect, being able to network in certain different groups. That's really what life is all about, right? Is connection and relationships, and it all goes back to the lessons that football has taught me. So I lean on that today, and hopefully we can get more of these Big Island kids in the same situations, and they can really go out and expand their horizons and know what is out there, but also find a different sense of self-belief and pride in where we come from. Because with that, relationships with other people, you realize exactly how special the Big Island is, how special the community is here. You get to represent it on a bigger stage, and you also get to share it with others, right? So it's kind of a give and a take situation with learning from others, but also being able to share what we have with the world, and really put our name on the map.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for taking this time. We couldn't be prouder that we played just a small role in helping you find that college sports opportunity. And we're excited about what you're doing, and we can't wait to work with you to again just shine a light on our athletes, help college recruiters find out what we've got going on, help our athletes get off this island, broaden their perspective. But like you said, let's come on back. Let's make the island a better place.
Definitely. Right on. Yeah. Thank you. Right on.